Welcome back to Raider Sports Radio. It is January 23rd, and we have an episode of our NBA show. We do one a week of NBA and NFL, so you will also see an NFL one. Marcus will sadly not be here for that, but we have another great announcer, extraordinaire. I mean, great personality, Brandon Severance. He will be filling in. But without ado, I did say it was the 23rd. The 22nd, which was last night, Zion made his debut. What'd you think about that?
Well, I watched the end of the game, which was the right decision to make, I guess. They didn't play him much in the first three quarters, which it's expected. I mean, he's injured. I mean, they're giving him a specific amount of play time. But, I mean, I didn't expect him to shoot so well. I didn't expect him to just come in and body like he did at Duke. I mean, he was throwing around guys that are like 7 feet tall. I mean, he dominated in the fourth quarter, which is really fun to watch. I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do with more play time. He's definitely got a ton of potential, and he might help that Pelicans team to a potential 7th seed, 8th seed in the end, but I'm not sure. I mean,
yeah. That's a Pelicans team with a lot of young depth. As you may remember, Jackson Hayes was also the 10th overall pick, so they have 2 top 10 rookie picks on that team. Both of them were playing well. Unfortunately, I kind of did the opposite of what you did. I watched the first 3.5 quarters, and I was like, Zion's not going to get put back in. I left. About a minute later, Zion got in a 2-minute stretch, scored 16 points.
Yeah,
he scored 17 in the fourth quarter, including going 4 for 4 from 3 in the game. I mean, he has more threes in one quarter than Ben Simmons has in his entire career.
Well, Zion he's an animal. His weight to height ratio, a lot of people were stressing about that. I mean, he definitely has a lot of weight to him, but I mean, you look at him and he just looks like a beast.
Exactly.
He doesn't look fat or whatever people would like to say about him. He looks like even potentially more athletic Charles Barkley.
That's true.
I'm excited to see what he can do, and he already has done a little bit for the Pelicans. I mean,
according to the BMI Body Mass Index, Zion Williamson's 6'6", and 285 frame puts him as a Class 1 obese player. I have never seen a Class 1 obese player with a 48-inch vertical. I'm sure you haven't either, but it's absolutely insane what he can do, not only with his physical athletic ability. He's an athletic freak. He's a child in a grown man's body. It's insane. Not only can he do that, but since Duke, he's added that three-pointer to make him even more deadly. Now he spaces the floor. We also saw early in that game his ability to pass, thread the needle, drive in, kick it out. He's expanding his game, grabbing hard for rebounds. He could possibly be a triple-double machine if he sees more minutes.
Yes, sir. Hudson, I have a question for you. On defense, how do you stop somebody that can not only get to the hoop so easily, but apparently now shoot?
Yeah, exactly. And this is something we saw last night. Zion's threat makes him so different, because not only can he drive in, there was one play in the second quarter against the Spurs, he was driving in and they had to take Trey Lyles and LaMarcus Aldridge at the top and put Derek White behind. So when Zion drove in, he used his court vision to kick it outside to Moore, so he could shoot. He missed the shot, but that's the kind of thing that makes Zion so deadly. Because he can drive, now he can shoot. They were disrespecting his range in the first game. He can drive, he can shoot, he can pass. He is becoming more of an all-around player and still an absolute wrecking ball.
Yes, sir. I mean, he's dominating already, and we're not even seeing the half of it yet. So I think it's exciting. I think we should move on to talk about Damian Lillard. I mean, incredible night.
61 points. It was like 10 rebounds, 8 assists. That is his career high. That now moves him into tied for third place among all-time active players. with points scored. Devin Booker is in first place with 70. Carmelo Anthony in second place with 62. So that puts him in the third spot at 61, tying James Harden. He went off. I mean, it wasn't even like a spectacular he went off performance. It was just sneaky, bucket after bucket after bucket after three-pointer, couple rebounds. I mean, 61-point double-double. I've never done that. You've never done that.
Definitely
Many
not.
people in the NBA haven't even done that. So what he was able to do was absolutely incredible. What's your take on that?
I think that it was an incredible performance, but I'm the kind of guy that likes to look at the overall picture of things. How do you think that the Trailblazers are looking? I mean, almost halfway through the season. I mean, they're 19-26. About 42% of their games they're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that they can get up to the 8th seed, up to the 7th seed, or do you think that they're just a player with they're just a team with a lot of personnel that really doesn't work that well together?
Yeah, I think they will be able to get up to that 8th seed spot, and here's why. A trade that really went under the radar. Trevor Ariza was traded from Sacramento to Portland. Now that provides more veteran leadership for a younger bench, if you will. So now your starting lineup, you can look at it as Hassan Whiteside, who's been averaging the most blocks per game in the league. Then you have Carmelo Anthony, still a dynamic scorer who was blackballed out of the league, came back, and he's proven his worth again. He's now 6th in All-Star voting. Then at the small forward, you have Trevor Ariza. He's been in the league since 2000, and I think it was 2004, 2003.
Yeah.
He is one of the veterans that you wouldn't expect to still be in the league with his type of performance, but he is still in the league. He can provide solid minutes, solid points, and then you have the best backcourt in the NBA, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. I mean, it's absolutely insane what they can do if they just live up to their potential. I could see them finishing in the 8th seed. Where do you see them finishing?
I see them finishing 9 or 10. I mean, I think if they really would have shown playoff potential, they would have already came out and shown it. I mean, there's got to be a locker room cancer. There's got to be a bench cancer. Something's going on behind the scenes that is affecting the Trailblazers. I mean, they got to the Western Conference Finals last year. Like, no one really knows the deal with that. I mean,
yeah.
How do you go from a contender to a 10th seed?
Yeah.
With all these incredible players. I mean, they have one of the best starting 5 in the league. They just have no depth beyond the bench.
Yeah, they really don't. Their depth is their struggle. They have young players, but we saw Zach Collins, who was a solid young player. He is out for most of the year now. Anfernee Simons hasn't been stepping up the way he wanted to. So beyond that veteran leadership on that starting 5, there is absolutely no depth. Now we move from a team who's been struggling, the Portland Trailblazers, to the hottest team in the league off a 7-game win streak, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're on pace to go 69-13. Pretty nice.
Okay, let's keep it.
Let's see.
I mean, just talking statistics straight off the bat, looking at about 87% of the games that they're winning. They've lost 2 games at home. I mean, it's too much. They're the second team in the East. The Miami Heat are 7.5 games back. I mean, that's quite a bit.
That's a lot of ground to make up.
They're dominating. At the end of the day, they're just dominating. If they were in the Western Conference, they'd be first. I mean, this is a team that definitely has a chance at winning it all. I mean, I don't know if it's too early to talk about the NBA Finals and potential winners, but that's a team that people are talking about. And 7 games on a win streak. I mean, they've already had 15-plus win streaks.
It was a 16-game win streak. Absolutely incredible to start the year. And, I mean, on pace for a very, very good record. I mean, there is no stopping it. I think the one area that they do struggle, that they need to get better at, is depth. They don't have a lot of depth. It's just kind of Giannis freewheeling, maybe a little bit of Chris Middleton here, maybe a sprinkle of Eric Bledsoe there, but not a lot. And that's why I believe that before the trade deadline, a second or first rounder and Eric Bledsoe will be sent to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Chris Paul to help them be a complete championship contender. Chris Paul, the best playmaker of the last decade. Giannis, the most electric player in the NBA right now, most dominant player in the NBA right now. You team them up with solid shooting from Chris Middleton. I mean, that would be a very deep team. I could see them going far with something like that. Do you think they could win the NBA championship with the roster they have now?
I think they need a little bit of a push. I mean, I think they need a playmaker like the Clippers have.
Kawhi Leonard, Paul George.
The Lakers have LeBron, AD, all these players, like multiple of these household names on some of these incredible Western Conference teams, whereas really you only have Giannis on the Bucks. And I know, like, me and you are big NBA fans. We know of Chris Middleton. We know of Eric Bledsoe. Yeah. But a lot of people think Bucks, and they only think of Giannis. And I think that lack of
depth, really.
Yeah, the lack of passing, the lack of playmaking, I think will be their downfall. I can see them easily clearing the East. I can see them putting up a fight in the NBA Finals. I don't think I can see them winning it, though.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, those two LA teams, the Clippers, the Lakers, you really have to worry about them. I think let's move over to more of the Clippers-Lakers rivalry and where we see this going in the future. Because at the beginning of the year, I've taken the Clippers in this matchup, and the reason why is they play to the weaknesses of the Lakers. The Lakers, I would say, you put them up against a lot of other teams. The Lakers are the better team. But once they play against the Clippers, I mean, you have Kawhi shutting down LeBron.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong. Montrezl Harrell shutting down Anthony Davis. Lou Williams' ability to score. Patrick Beverley, his ability to lock down defenders. Lou Williams, there's no one to guard him on the Lakers. There's no good backcourt defense. I mean, that is the perfect matchup for the Clippers to win. So don't take the Clippers off your radar yet. I know they just lost to the Hawks last night. That didn't look good, but they still have enough depth, enough talent. They have the best depth in the league, in my opinion, to make a run and win the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that Clippers-Lakers matchup is really not only fun to watch, but when you compare each player like you did, I mean, it's very equal. And the Lakers are a team that really strive based off of their home team advantage, and they don't have that when they play the Clippers. It's just not there. I mean, they could slap a Lakers logo in the middle of the floor and make the outline of the court yellow, but Clippers fans are still going to be showing up and making noise, and they just don't get that. They don't get that home team advantage, so I think that's a really fun matchup, and I think that could potentially be the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
come
time for Western Conference Finals, we could be seeing an entirely Staples Center matchup. Now, speaking of the Western Conference playoffs, we're going to go to our hometown team. We are from Denver, so we will have a little bit of Nuggets talk every week, starting now with the injuries.
Yeah.
Ugh, that is not good.
Too much. I mean, three important starters too. Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, they're all out. And Jamal Murray's out for at least another 2 weeks at least. Gary Harris and Paul Millsap are both, their injuries are coming to a close, but I mean, Michael Porter Jr. has recently been showing up for these games and dominating from the bench, as well as Mason Plumlee, and they're both out as well. The Nuggets are a game back from the second spot. Half game back from the third spot. 5 games total from the first. I mean, it's not looking great for them right now. They're coming off of a loss, but I think that once the injuries all come to an end, I think that the Nuggets will definitely be back into a contending position and getting some wins.
Yeah, if these injuries end, if they cease after all these players come back, I could see them getting to the 3rd spot in the West. I don't see anyone toppling the Lakers, first of all. They are a perfect regular season team in the West right now. That's who you idolize. That's who you want to be. They're the 1 seed. The Jazz, very, very sneaky 2 seed. No one's talking about the Jazz. They are in 2nd in the West, and they are hot. Now, moving down to the 3 seed, it was the Clippers. I mean, they're doing all right. Depends on how Kawhi will load manage. I think the Nuggets' target is probably to try to beat the Clippers, to beat them out for that 3 seed. I know you'd be in the same side as the Lakers. That may be hard specifically on that matchup. But that's really what you have to hope for, is to beat out that Clippers team.
Yeah, the Nuggets have a couple important games coming. They just lost to the Rockets in Houston. I don't know if many teams are going to be able to compete with the Rockets in Houston. And like we said, a couple injuries are preventing them from reaching their maximum potential. But they get to play Zion tomorrow. They get to play this new Pelicans team, I guess.
That'll be pretty big.
Get to see how the Nuggets defend Zion Williamson, as well as keeping control of Brandon Ingram and some of their other big name players, and then they get to play the Rockets again on Sunday in Denver. Little rematch. I would really like to watch the Nuggets win these next few games.
I'm a little bit of a tough game stretch.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they play the Rockets, and then 2 games later they play the Jazz, and then they play the Bucks after the Jazz. I mean, they've got to get through these next 5-6 games, get these injuries out of the way, and then they're in the clear. So
I wouldn't be surprised if we see them going from the 4 seed to the 5 seed, and then climbing back up to the 3 seed after those injuries occur. Well, that is going to do it this week for the Raider Sports Radio NBA edition of our podcast. There will also be an NFL edition of our podcast. Marcus can't make it to that. We will miss him dearly, but we have another electric personality for you guys. So long for me. I'm Hudson Ridley alongside Marcus Shultze. Thank you.